Divorcing my husband was the biggest mistake of my life. If I could give anyone a piece of advice for divorce, it would be to not do it under normal circumstances. If your spouse is beating you or threatening you or your children, then of course get out and fast. In my case, there was no abuse. We were together for 8 years, that was mostly good, and we have 4 kids. Right around 5 years I got a promotion at work, and I got it in my head that my ex-husband was dragging me down, or at least holding me back from more success and a better life. We never had a lot of money, but with my promotion I was now making more than he was. I started working longer hours, and at the same time his hours were cut, so he was at home more. I really began to resent him because he was home and because he got to spend time with our kids. Most nights when I got home they were already getting ready for bed, if not already sleeping. After a few months of my new job, it was clear to me that things were not going well at home without me there. Some nights the dishes weren't done when I got home, or the kids had not eaten, or whatever else I could think of to be mad at him about. It really didn't matter. He kept saying that he would try harder, but that it was hard being home all the time. That always made me really mad. For the next couple years things kept getting worse. My hours weren't any shorter, and he was on and off full time. There was no convenient time for him to be working full time because of my hours, but we also needed the money. Whenever he would tell me that he could get extra hours, I would always complain, and the less hours he worked, the more I complained that he wasn't bringing in enough money. Whenever he brought up the contradiction, I would tell him that he needed to figure it out. I knew that it would bother him, so I started saying that a lot and for everything that I could. I really started to resent him, and I pulled away from him. I knew that it was hurting him, but I didn't care. If he didn't want to be hurt, then he would at least try to make me happy. I used that same thing to justify when I started to talk to another guy at work. I thought he was just a friend, but talking at work turned into texting at home, and then pictures and videos, and then trying to sneak some alone time with him. I knew that it was wrong, but it made me feel so alive. And my husband had not made me feel like that in years. I was tired of being unhappy, and I was doing this for me. The worst was the night that I came home at a reasonable time and found that he had cleaned the whole house, cooked the whole family dinner, and picked out a movie for all of us to watch together. This would have made me swoon a couple years earlier, but that night I couldn't even look at him, and I pretended to be sick. I spent the rest of the night in bed while he waited on me and checked on me and even made me different food and brought it to me in bed. It made me feel terrible, and then it made me angry that he made me feel that way, and by the end of the night I was texting with the other guy. Over the next month or two from that night, it did not matter what he did. He was wrong just for breathing most days. He would get so upset with how I was treating him, and I would just wait and egg him on into losing it because I knew it would happen eventually. After most of the fights we had, he would apologize for whatever I told him he did wrong, if there even was something, but I never did. I would usually find a way to make him feel even worse. I knew that I was right because he was wrong, and that was all that mattered to me. I even pretended that I didn't care when he found out about my relationship with the guy from work. It really destroyed me inside to see him holding back tears, but I wasn't going to let him see that. He was at his weakest, and that was when I chose to tell him that I wanted a divorce. I could almost hear his heart shattering inside his chest. He talked and fought and said that we could work through it together. I really wasn't interested in fixing our marriage, but I mostly ended things with the other guy, but only because I knew I could get it back if I wanted it. I could see that he was trying, and occasionally I would let him know, but for the most part I kept being a huge bitch to him for any and all reasons that I could think of. I'm not sure how much more the man could have done to make me happy besides finding a job that paid enough for me to not have to work at all. He said that he was looking, but looking and finding are two different things. It was around this time that I discovered this group and a few others. I started posting things about him, from my perspective only, and I got so much positive feedback for how I was feeling that I knew I was right. The more I posted, the more validation that I got. It wasn't just me who knew that my ex-husband wasn't worth keeping around. I had the whole internet telling me how terrible he is. I started saying awful things to him and even outright ignoring him. I was so confident with mine and everyone else's opinion that I contacted a lawyer, and within a couple weeks had filed for divorce. I continued to use this site and a couple others to validate my feelings and for encouragement to go through with it. And finally it was done. It went pretty smoothly. My ex-husband didn't ask for much besides to not get divorced and to try to work it all out. I didn't care about that though. He was broken, but I was free. I could do whatever I wanted without having to feel any guilt or answer to anybody. It was an amazing feeling of freedom. It didn't last long though. In the first month after he moved out, I missed garbage day 3 times. There was also rarely a single clean dish, and the laundry sat in piles so long that I had to start doing the sniff test to see if it could be worn again. I also never saw my kids more miserable. My oldest had seen some of the messages from the other guy months earlier, and she knew that ex-husband still wanted to try to work it out. It didn't take her long to stop talking to me at all, except to say that she wanted to go to ex-husband's house. The others all told me that they wanted to live with their ex-husband too. I did my best to try to make them happy, but I ended up just buying them toys all the time, and the happiness only lasted minutes. I also was having a lot of trouble with work. Being alone, I couldn't work all those extra hours that I was expected to. I finally gave in and started calling ex-husband to watch the kids. He would always come over as soon as he could, and he always asked me if I needed anything. When I would get home, I would find clean dishes and laundry and even dinner sometimes. He would never say too much after I got home. He would just say to call him if I needed anything and leave. One night he took out the garbage and brought it to the curb because it was garbage night, and I forgot again. He always looked so sad when it was time to go. Finally, after a couple months, my friends convinced me to go out on a date. It was for dinner and a movie, and I was excited and hopeful. But at dinner I started getting a feeling of overwhelming guilt. It got so bad that I ended up not even going to the movie. A week and about a million years later I was on a therapist's couch. I told her everything that had happened, starting with the promotion that I got at work. She did not agree with me or with any of the encouragement to divorce that I got. I ended up in her office 2 and sometimes 3 times a week, and the more that I talked to prove that I was right, the more that I started to see how wrong I was. It was truly heartbreaking. I don't know if I cried as much in my whole life as I did in the first month in her office. After about $2,000 of therapy sessions, I learned that my ex-husband had his faults, but I figured out that mine were so much worse. I did so many awful things and said awful things that I wouldn't want to be with me, but he did. I still remember him asking me in the meeting with the lawyer to please not go through with it. I did go through with it though, and then later I bragged on here how great it felt. I was so wrong, and now I can see it. A couple weeks ago I went outside with him when he was leaving the house. I asked him about getting back together. When he looked at me, his eyes were full of tears and a couple went down his cheeks. He told me that he didn't know if he could. He said that the pain has been too much for too long and that if we got back together that I might just turn around and do it to him again. He said that he always thought that I would realize how much he loved me and stop until I signed the divorce papers, and let out a big over-exaggerated sigh of relief. He said that hurt him more than anything else and that he doesn't know if he can ever trust me again. I don't blame him. I destroyed a man who, looking back, was a great husband. I deprived my kids of having a great father in the house with them, and I took his kids away from him. And I, the one who pushed for the divorce expecting happiness and a life of freedom, spend all my free time sitting at home or sitting on a therapist's couch.
A husband decides to stay home and care for the kids and household instead of working extra hours. His wife complains, but he's already contributing value by saving on childcare, maintaining the home, and reducing family stress. Work isn't just about money. Caring for a home and children is a full-time job too. It's unfair to overlook his contribution just because it doesn't bring in extra cash.
My girlfriend confided in me that she was struggle-snuggled as a child. Now I'm disgusted when we're in bed and I don't know what to do. I, 23M, have been with my girlfriend, 21F, for around 9 months. I want to start off by saying that I, in no way, shape, or form, want to make her abuse about me. I just need help understanding my own emotions so I can be better for her. My girlfriend has had a long history with abuse her entire life. From having a father who was physically abusive, to having 2 family members take complete advantage of her. One of her core memories she has is when she was just 12 years old, sitting in 25-year-old men's cars, knowing what would soon follow. I understood why she decided to start using illegal substances to cope, and 3 years ago, she was in the hospital due to an OD and was kept in a mental facility for 2 months. She was diagnosed with severe BPD. She got clean, was able to graduate high school, and got accepted into our local university where she met me. Recently, she started getting nightmares, so I asked what they were about. She revealed to me that there were things that happened to her in middle school that I didn't yet know of. Without sugarcoating it, she was forcibly taken advantage of multiple times over the course of a year and a half by a group of older boys. She didn't go into a lot of detail, but she told me some of the things these boys did to her. They would pin her down and take turns repeatedly abusing her. I started to feel sick to my stomach because some of the things they did to her, like pinning her down, pulling her hair, and putting my hands around her neck, are the things she craves when we have bedroom intimacy. When we first explored each other in the bedroom, she told me that she wants me to do whatever I want to her, whenever I want, and that me owning her turned her on. At first, I loved that energy in the bedroom. I enjoyed our fun and she always enjoyed it as well. With the new information about her past, I'm starting to feel disgusted with her and myself. I don't understand my emotions. I'm truly terrified, and thoughts I know are wrong are flooding my brain. Did some part of her enjoy being raped? In that year and a half, were there moments where she would look forward to it? When we were making love, was she trying to recreate those moments and feelings with me? Is she envisioning it while I'm doing it with her? My entire view of the relationship has shifted and I don't know how to fix it. How can I ask her these things? I feel horrible for feeling like this. It's gotten to the point our bedroom life is affected. It'll pop up in my mind while we're in the middle of doing it and I'll go completely soft. A few days ago, it happened again. We were in the middle of doing it when she whimpered, choked me, with her eyes closed and all. That was the moment I instantly went soft. All I could think was, is she really in this moment with me, or is she fantasizing about the abuse? I know it's wrong to think that. Her bringing this up to me has brought out a complex set of emotions I've never felt before and don't know how to process. After that moment a few days ago, I haven't had bedroom intimacy with her since. We used to do it every other day at minimum, and now, I just can't. I know it's eating her up inside. She sat me down and asked me if there was anything I could change about her body. What would I change? The moment she asked, I wanted to cry. I knew why she had asked, but I asked her why she would ask anyway. She said she felt like I wasn't attracted to her anymore. As much as I reassured her I was still attracted to her, it wasn't enough. She broke down crying. This is the same girl who decided to lose 40 pounds when we started dating because she felt like she wasn't attractive enough for me. She tries so hard to be pretty enough for me, but she feels like it's never enough. With her confidence already at such a low, our bedroom life falling apart like this is the last nail in the coffin. Please, any advice would be appreciated. Edit. I just want to apologize to all the victims who were hurt reading my post. I never wanted to hurt or offend anyone, and I'm truly sorry. Having read through so many replies, many attacking me for what was said, others truly giving me solid advice, I realize both she and I need therapy. I'm going to be talking to her soon, and I'll be back with an update. I never realized just how deep trauma goes. I never realized my trauma also affected my thinking when it came to reacting to my girlfriend's trauma. I was SA'd at a young age, and my response to that trauma is the exact opposite of hers. I became dominant and in control. Whenever my girlfriend would touch or even graze that area, I'd immediately move her hands away. My trauma took the form of aversion, hers did not. Subconsciously, that scared me. I didn't understand her response to it. It was so different from mine. I still have so much to learn about SA, about myself, about trauma, how to heal, and how to cope. Thank you to all the people who gave advice. We're just two people in our early 20s trying to figure out this weird thing we call life. Update 1. It's been 11 days since I posted this, and a lot has happened. For starters, I want to thank everyone who suggested therapy. My girlfriend was able to book a session with her therapist, which went really well. She got recommended a few books to read, as well as ways to help her cope with her complex BPD, and things seem to be getting better. I'm still looking to find an affordable therapist. I have an appointment with one next week, so I hope it goes well, fingers crossed. After this post, my girlfriend and I had a conversation about everything. After explaining my thoughts to her, she started to cry. At this point, I thought I absolutely messed up big time. But once she calmed down, she told me she felt really blessed and lucky that I would be concerned for her in that way. She said I easily could have taken advantage of it, but the fact that I am worried about triggering her to the point that I would go soft means that I care more about her well-being than my intimate gratification. I was really relieved that she understood me. A lot of tears and a ton of hugs later, we finally were able to lay everything out. Issues we had from the beginning that were never resolved, hurt feelings, and things that were never addressed were all finally talked about. I won't lie, there were moments I wasn't sure we would make it through, but in the end, we did, and it made us stronger. Our relationship felt free, like a weight was finally lifted off our shoulders, and it feels amazing. I know I still have a lot to learn. I'm willing to do what I can to be a better man for her, and I see that same commitment in her for me. Thank you all for the kind words and support. I had considered deleting this post when it first got a ton of attention, but I can say this post and the events following it really helped save my relationship. We're going to continue to focus on healing, bettering our relationship, and building our future together. I'm excited to see what the future holds for us.
Wow, talk about a roller coaster of emotions. Picture this. Two people both going through absolute hell, but somehow finding the strength to keep going. Now here's the kicker. They actually tried to talk it out. I mean, let's be real. Most of us can't even decide what to have for dinner without a meltdown. But these two, they face their demons head on. So next time you're feeling stuck, remember, if they can do it, so can you. Who knows? Maybe your next awkward conversation could be the start of something amazing. Keep pushing, keep talking, and who knows where you'll end up.